Hey guys, today we're going to be checking out the new patch over in Korea. So 7.24 hit a few days ago, and since then I've been checking every day over there to see what people are playing and if there's anything new that we can kind of pick up and play as well. I bet you're all going to be happy about this though. The highest win rate junglers, a lot of the top laners and supports are all tanks again. I know people want to play damage in preseason and this is kind of an answer to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually move into season 8 in kind of like a tank meta. We're going to look at bans first of all, because this is really what Korea thinks are like way too overpowered. Like there's no real counterplay and are just too strong to play against. All now is jumping up to top 10 for the ban rate, which is no real surprise. Misfortune is a bit weird though, because normally when Misfortune was strong like last season and stuff, they just kind of ignored her. They didn't play her at all, but I guess she's just that strong at the moment. They are starting to ban her. Poke damage is ridiculous. The last weird thing about this top 10 is that Leona is actually increasing in ban rate at the moment. So she's banned more this patch than she was last patch. I think probably support and AD carry mains are the ones banning her because she's just horrible to play against. Now, a few things to start off. So Untitled Spellbook, especially with the Vladimir and Malz, seems to be the new toy for Korea. They love this thing. Having a 3-minute flash cooldown with Lucidity boost is a little bit too good apparently, and they just love running around using their summoners all the time. I like some still are using their damage runes and stuff, but a lot are moving over to this, and it's actually pretty fun to play as well. Below plat, Leona, Rammus, Malz, and Shyvana winning more than most other champions at the moment. They are all pretty simple, so you can like focus on the rest of the game, which is really good. They're tanky or kind of hard to kill at least, which means they cover up a lot of your mistakes. Make plays with crowd control on all of these pretty much, which is a really easy way for people to follow up from the stuff you're actually going to do. And they're difficult to play against, which means it's horrible for the enemy team and they can actually punish mistakes. Let's kick off the video properly. Morgana Mid is the first one. I bet you saw this coming a little bit. We talked about Morgana Jungle, but actually mid lane at the moment is better in Korea, even after the hotfix nerfs as well that was sent to live and actually nerfed her W and her passive. She's still really good after her mini rework. There are loads of really good things, but we're going to focus on the W. It's a lot more damage with the reduced cooldown now, which means in lane phase it's actually a lot more viable. You push harder, you do a lot more damage as well, especially with Scorch, Arcane, and Comet, which kind of buff her overall damage, which she didn't have last season. You also get a free one-time Zhonya's, right, with perfect timing. Everybody in Korea pretty much takes perfect timing because it's just so good having that stopwatch. We all know how clutch Zhonya's can be on Morgana, and this is kind of like a free one-time win of a team fight if you dive in with your ultimate and use it. She was never actually that bad as a laner. Like, honestly, she was pretty decent throughout the last season, and especially the end of season. But now she is, like, way more of a threat, I think. And that's a really big thing. It's kind of that stage where you hit one bind, and you do a lot of damage yourself, and then any follow-up, and they're pretty much dead. Like, you can one-combo people with Q, W, and R, and it's actually pretty disgusting. Spell Shield as well. Perfect for a lot of mid-lane matchups at the moment, like from mages and stuff. But she also rips apart Zed, which I didn't really expect. At least in Korea at the moment, she wins against Zed about 60% of the time. We're going to stick with mid very quickly just to talk about Corki. The Fleet Footwork buff was insane on him right now. It is so good. It was already pretty good on him as a keystone anyway, and then they triple buffed it, right? So I think it's actually a bit too good now. They buffed the ratio, the base, and the crit scaling, and Corki can use all of them. He does build crit after all, so he can actually get use of all 3 of those buffs. He doesn't really need more damage, to be honest, like, so he can get away with taking this healing keystone. He's pumping out enough burst anyway, and it's actually even versus a lot of mid lane matchups, which is really important. His lane phase is at least even if he's not winning. Now it's really important for the preseason because a lot of games are ending a lot earlier, so you can't really afford to lose your lane. Really good mid-game damage anyway. Scales into late game better than before, which is a bit weird, but apparently that's a thing now. Most take teleport as well instead of exhaust, which we saw last season mostly. You have better roams and you survive the lane phase a lot easier. So we talked about Arcane, Comet, Sion a little bit last week in one of my videos, but I'm pretty sure this is busted now. Obviously, if you're tilted earlier, you can play AP Sion. Let's see, also done like AD Sion. Basically everything on Sion works. Maybe it's just Sion in general, but I honestly think it's actually just Scorch in general on tanks that does so much damage. Building full tank like at the moment, but doing so much damage because you have this combo of like resolve and secondary just seems kind of broken. I know Ornn is getting a lot of the attention for the tanks right now, and he is pretty disgusting, but actually like Sion is winning that matchup in Korea at the moment and a lot of other matchups. He hammers bruises, which I'm not sure is supposed to really happen, so he has this like really impactful lane phase where he can actually kill people, and then he turns into a super tank with at least a little bit of threat in team fights as well. His roaming ultimate though can kind of take his lead in the top lane and move it into others. That's one of the reasons that Korea actually loves Sion so much, is because you can roam around, you can actually have a lot of impact. So Kalista is the next one. I'm so happy about this after my challenge, but she spiked up this patch. If you ban Ezreal, Misfortune at least, There's no other matchup that you really struggle against except kind of Draven, which you don't really want to pick her into. When lane phase is so important and games are not going as late anymore, that is kind of the perfect recipe for Kalista. That's exactly what she wants. When I did my 30-day Kalista challenge, I found that I'd lose a lot of games if the game went late because my effectiveness just wasn't keeping up with the other AD carry. That's not really a problem anymore. Double lifesteal as well for all the damage flying around, so you get your blade, you also get your bloodthirster, which is really, really good. And runings, you have healing from all three of those bolts, so you're actually going to survive a lot more in team fights. Another thing is you can buy Guardian Angel, Mormon Mortius, Mercurial Scimitar, like a defensive item third, and actually still do a lot of damage and still carry. So you can kind of like adapt to the meta of damage flying around everywhere, but still be useful. Support meta is perfect as well. Mostly aggressive supports on your team like Leona, Alistair, Blitzcrank, where they can set you up, they can feed you kills, and you can throw them in. We are really getting into League of Tanks now. So Nautilus for support majorly shot up. I think it's pretty decent top lane as well, but we're going to focus on the support role. The new season gives him a lot more damage. Aftershock and stuff like that, on top of already his really high base damage, kind of sucks. He can 1v1 an AD carry easily, which is very depressing for an AD carry player. So let's do body and resolve tree together is loads of free health to be even more tanky in the lane phase and not really die. You also have Font of Life, which is healing for the AD carry, so you're not like full on aggressive anymore. I think it's kind of a replacement for Leona being banned all the time. I think you don't really want to play Nort into Leona either. That's a pretty bad matchup. A good counter though to mage supports and also poke AD carries all in the fights, and a lot of crowd control and stuff is really the way to win against those type of picks. Something else we talked about at the same time as Arcane, Comet, Sion before was Kleptomancy Nasus. Now, Kleptomancy plus Resolve Secondary has a 56 to 57% win rate at the moment over in Korea on op.gg, and it is the most popular rune setup page out of any of the others. This is like rice farming official edition Nasus at the moment. Ancient Coin start as well as Kleptomancy. You're literally playing him to get as much gold as possible in the lane phase and then kind of transition into a really good mid game. It's something I've seen actually when I see Nasus in my games. He pounds me mid game really hard. It's actually very difficult to control him anymore, partly because in the Resolve tree we have second win. Plus your passive, that is a load of regen, and you can't really bully him as hard anymore. You can't really like stop him stacking, if that makes sense. Remember his E is basically a Last Whisper as well with the arm pen they gave that, which is kind of crazy when you have like AD in the jungle and obviously as an AD carry as well. It really helps your team out. He struggles a little bit versus like lane bully bruisers, but they aren't meta right now anyway, which is why he seems so good. Sejuani is another tank that we saw a lot last season, but she's suddenly come back, and I wonder if it's because of All-Stars. Like we're seeing her played a lot. All the pros are kind of showing how you actually play her and how she can be still really good in the preseason. I think it must be, if we look at her win rate chart, the last 3 days she has spiked up, and that kind of coincides with the All-Stars. They must be copying the kind of heavy gank style and diving style that we're seeing a lot of. She is one of the best early to mid game junglers though. Like I think this is the thing for Korea. Korea love her because she can gank. That's why they kind of play her and pro play over someone like Rammus, for example. There's nothing too surprising about like runes. Aftershock is for the damage. Also a lot of cooldown reduction from sorcery, which makes sense because you can only really gank with your ultimate. So you want to keep that up as much as possible, right? She's also very good versus other early-ish junglers, kind of like a Lee Sin, for example. They can't kill her, so normally you're going to lose a 2v2 fight, and that is really where she shines at the moment, especially in preseason where games are not going as late. I think most people kind of understand how good Katarina can be at the moment. It's nothing really new this patch, but I would say she's probably the best mid laner at the moment over in Korea, and especially at higher ranks. Something I noticed when I looked into this a lot more is how consistent she is when you get to like platinum, high platinum, and diamond games. Obviously, she can be really good lower down as well, but like she is stomping in diamond right now really, really hard, really hard. If the game ends before 25 minutes, she has a 60% win rate, which is crazy high. That's higher than any other mid laner, but if you get to really late game, like past 40 minutes, for example, she has one of the worst win rates. I think that kind of might be why she's really good in diamond and not as bad, like lower down. You need to snowball hard, and you need to win your lane, and you need to close out the game. I guess with everyone like kind of claiming she's overpowered, I just wanted to point out that yes, she is very overpowered early game, but if you don't feed her, then actually she's not that bad. So currently the highest win rate in the jungle is Olaf, and it looks like tanks are really back, tanks that can actually gank at the same time though. 61% win rate if he can end the game before 25 minutes, so he gets ahead, he is unkillable, does a lot of damage, and destroys a game. Even late game, he does not seem to be that bad, which is not really what we're used to with Olaf, but his mid game kind of suffers, which makes a little bit of sense. That is what we're used to. There are 3 main keystones that you can use. Comet is the most popular. This is what we've seen top lane a lot as well, with Inspiration second. It makes your dueling and damage actually pretty crazy. Plus, you won't run out of mana either because you're taking mana flow ban, which is really good for your farming. Predator is also very popular with Precision secondary. Ghost, Predator, Ultimate, Righteous Glory. That's pretty grim. How are you ever going to get away from an Olaf running that fast? Electrocute with precision is the last one. Way more ham. Not sure it's as good as the other two, but it is more burst for sure. I'm not sure if this is going to stay around or not. So far, it kind of looks like he's just ramming Lee Sin really, really hard. And that is what's making him look ridiculously good. Olaf as a champion is pretty decent at the moment, though. So I think it's still going to be decent, but I don't know if he's actually going to be like the best after a few days. That's going to wrap up all of our picks today. I hope you guys enjoyed the little look into career and me stalking those guys over there. Thank you very much for watching the video. Remember to like if you do, subscribe, stick around. But for now, I'll leave you with the robots.